It carved the Grand Canyon. Today, the Colorado River barely reaches the ocean, yet over 40 million people, Las Vegas, Phoenix, Los Angeles, and vast farmlands depend on it. How did one of America's most powerful rivers start disappearing? More than 40 million people in the American Southwest rely on the Colorado River for their daily lives. The river's water travels hundreds of miles to reach sprawling desert cities, Los Angeles, Phoenix, Las Vegas, each drawing their share through vast aqueducts and pumping stations. In southern Nevada, the Southern Nevada Water Authority manages the lifeline for nearly all of Las Vegas, delivering around 295,000 acre-feet a year from Lake Mead. Phoenix lifts about 1.5 million acre-feet annually through the Central Arizona Project, while Los Angeles draws roughly 500,000 acre-feet through its own aqueduct. These numbers are staggering, but they represent only a fraction of the total demand. Beyond city taps, the river powers the Hoover Dam, which supplies nearly a third of Nevada's electricity and supports grids in Arizona and California as well. Every drop is measured, counted, and contested. The scale of dependence is immense. Millions of homes, businesses, and farms sustained by a single shrinking source. That dependence is not just a matter of convenience, it is a matter of survival. The roots of the Colorado River crisis reach back to a single decision made over a century ago. In 1922, delegates from 7 states gathered in Washington, D.C., determined to secure water for a booming West. Secretary of the Interior Albert B. Fall, standing before the assembled officials, declared, "We must secure water for the West's future." With that charge, they divided the river's flow equally between the upper and lower basins, 7.5 million acre-feet per year for each. But the numbers they relied on came from an unusually wet stretch in the early 1900s, when stream gauges at Lee Ferry recorded flows as high as 15.2 million acre-feet. Today, the true average is closer to 12.4 million. That gap, nearly 3 million acre-feet, means the river has been overpromised from the very start. Every law, every contract since has been built on this legal ceiling, locking the Southwest into a system that expects more water than nature provides. The seeds of scarcity were sown the moment the ink dried on the compact. Tree rings buried deep in old-growth forests reveal a harsh truth. The Colorado River Basin is now experiencing the driest stretch in over 1,000 years. Scientists analyzing these ancient growth records have pinpointed the current drought as the most severe since at least the year 800. Modern stream gauges confirm the scale of the decline. Average annual runoff has dropped by nearly 30% since the late 20th century. It's not just about rainfall. The region's temperature has climbed more than 2 degrees Celsius since 1980, driving up evaporation and drying out soils before the water can ever reach the river. The Rocky Mountains, once the river's frozen reservoir, are losing their snowpack at an alarming rate. Snow water equivalent, the measure of how much water the snow contains, has fallen by about 15% since the 1980s. Snow now melts nearly 2 weeks earlier than it did a generation ago, cutting short the spring surge that once filled reservoirs downstream. The river's pulse has slowed, and the landscape it supports is left thirstier every year. Lake Mead and Lake Powell, the 2 largest reservoirs in the United States, now hover dangerously close to their lowest operational limits. In 2023, Lake Mead's surface dipped to 1,041 feet, just above the threshold where Hoover Dam's turbines begin to fail. At Lake Powell, the situation is even more precarious. When the water level drops below 3,527 feet, Glen Canyon Dam's turbines can no longer spin, cutting off a vital source of electricity for millions across Arizona, Nevada, and California. Every foot of lost elevation at Mead means about 0.8 megawatts less power, enough to darken thousands of homes. The Bureau of Reclamation's own data charts a relentless decline, with both reservoirs losing more than half their storage since 2000. As water falls, the risk isn't just to power. Below Dead Pool, water can no longer flow downstream through the dams, threatening supplies for cities, farms, and entire regions. The infrastructure built to safeguard the Southwest is now straining under conditions it was never designed to face. At the river's end, a vanished world tells its own story. The Colorado once poured fresh water and sediment into a vast delta, creating more than 400 square kilometers of wetlands along the Gulf of California. This lush mosaic supported clouds of migratory birds, thriving fisheries, and the Kukapa people who built their lives around the seasonal floods. Now, less than a tenth of the river's historic flow survives the journey. Dams and diversions have stranded the delta, turning wetlands into salt flats and silencing the old rhythm of flood and renewal. For the Kukapa, the river's absence is not just an environmental loss, it is the fading of memory, tradition, and home. A hard deadline now looms over the basin. By 2026, the current water sharing agreements, the 2007 interim guidelines, and the 2019 drought contingency plan will expire. Negotiators face tough choices. Proposals on the table call for mandatory cuts of up to 15% across states, even as cities and farms already feel the strain. Tribal nations, including the Navajo and Kukapa, are demanding recognition of historic water rights, claims that could reshape the balance of every future deal. The Colorado River is still flowing today, but the system built around it is under increasing pressure. The Colorado River is still flowing today, but the system built around it is under increasing pressure. If you enjoy deep dives into geography, mega projects, and the hidden systems that keep the world running, consider subscribing to the channel. We break down complex global stories like this so you can understand what's really happening behind the headlines.